Hi, my name is Kari and I'm the product architect here at FieldSync. What I'd like to go over in this video is how you can build forms for data collection within the FieldSync solution. Now, there are a lot of things that you need to think about ahead of time before you actually go in and start building the forms. So let's walk through those steps. First of all, you need to consider what type of form should I build. You have the ability within FieldSync to create forms that apply to three different modules. One would be the entity or customer module, allowing you to capture data on the core entity that you're using FieldSync to track. So for example, this may be your customer form, your project form, your asset form. We also provide form building within logs. Now, logs are used as your digital briefcase. If you have any forms within your business that are used on an as-needed basis and are pulled out of your briefcase and filled out, that would be a great example of what you might want to use for a log. We also have form building capabilities within our tasks. Now, the tasks module are used more for scheduled data collection and if you're wanting to track whether or not something was complete. So in each of these three areas, you have the ability to create these data collection forms. Second, you need to consider what are my fields. Now, when looking at the FieldSync solution and transferring from a paper-based process to using technology, you're not necessarily going to include every field that you have on your current paper form in the solution. Oftentimes we find that customers are not even filling out half of the fields that are on the paper form, or they're writing in the margins and entering data that doesn't even apply to a specific question. So make sure to really think about all of the fields that you want to include within your form. Thirdly, you need to determine whether or not they are required. Now, as your staff are out using the solution, do you want to force them to fill out each field? When you mark a field as required, this means they will not be able to save the record without entering something there. So make sure to think that through really carefully before you mark a field as required. Fourth, you want to consider building your value lists. Now, value lists are used to populate drop-down lists, checkbox lists, radio buttons. All of these controls provide your users with options regarding a specific question or field. So, rather than having to enter text every single time they fill out a form, by giving your users options, not only are you making the data entry faster for them, but you're also controlling the data that gets entered into your form and allows you to do better reporting. So the value lists need to be built before you actually build your form. So if you need to have a list of parts or a list of your employees or a list of locations, you would want to build those value lists first, and I'll show you how to do that in just a moment. And then finally, you'll want to set the visibility for each form. So let's go ahead and jump into FieldSync and take a look at the form building. So for the purposes of this demo, I'm going to go into settings and show how you build a form within logs. Now, I talked to you about the value lists, and value lists are found within settings on this initial tab. Value lists contain all of the options that you want to be used within your different fields within your forms. So say, for example, here we have a value list of days of the week. When we go in and take a look at the values, you see all of the days of the week and they're in the order that you want them displayed. Now this list needs to be built prior to adding a field that references the days of the week. So in order to create a value list, you simply select the Add New Value List, and this will allow you to give your value list a name. So it may be parts, days of the week, whatever you want to call that list so that you can identify it when you're going through the form building. So you'll enter a name and select Insert. Once the value list has been created, you'll be able to go into the Values link and add the values. Again, to add a value to your list, you simply select Add New Value, indicate the order that you want it to come in, and then enter the value. So once you've added values to your value list, you can also change the order simply by coming in and editing the value and changing the order to allow for a different order. So now that we have all of our value lists created, let's go ahead and take a look at how we build the forms. So we'll go into the Logs tab. Now keep in mind that the form building is the same throughout the whole application. So what I show you here is going to also apply to the Entities module and the Tasks module. I'm going to go ahead and take a look at an existing log type so that you can see some good examples. So here we have an incident report log. So as you can see, we have 34 different fields that are included within this log. And here you can see we have a variety of different control types. We have drop-down lists, we have checkboxes, radio buttons, and over here you can see the different value lists that are referred. So let's go down to the bottom and we can add a configurable field. We can give the field a name. So whatever you want the label to appear as within the form when your users are doing data collection will be the label. And then you can choose which type of control you want it to be. We have 20 different controls that are available to you, and you can add as many of these different types to your form that you need to. Now, not all of the field types are tied to value lists, but let's go ahead and select one that is, which is a drop-down list. Now you can see that the value list field becomes available, and I have all of the different value lists available to me to assign to this drop-down list. So if I were to choose, for example, our yes/no value list, whenever my users fill out that form for this field, then they would see the yes or no options in the control. This next field indicates whether or not the field is active or inactive, indicating whether or not you want it to be displayed on the form. And then the next checkbox here is whether or not the field is required. So again, keep in mind that you want to be careful with that setting. So I'm going to close out of our form builder and give you a quick look at what that log type looks like now. So I'll say add new log. I'm within my logs module. And when I choose incident report as my type, you can see all of those fields that we saw in the form builder displayed here. Our photo fields, our drop-down lists. Here's our drop-down list that's tied to the pain level value list. And this form is also available to your mobile users. So again, when you go into form building, keep in mind that you need to do the value list first. Keep in mind that you want to be selective of the fields that you put on the form. And think about the fields that you're adding to the form. You want the form to be simple for your users to fill out, but at the same time you need it to capture the data that you need in your system. If you have any additional questions about building forms or the steps that you need to take prior to doing that, please don't hesitate to give us a call. Thank you.